6 more things I wish someone would have told me before I started kayak fishing, starting now. As you probably already guessed, this is video number 2 in this series, so if you like this one, I'll serve the first one up at the end. Sub, bell, like, blah, blah, blah. Let's hop in. Number 1, I wish someone would encourage me to try different lures. I'm guilty of this. You're taught at a young age how to catch fish, and if that's how you catch them, that's how you catch them. Oh, my grandpappy taught me how to fish this way, and his grandpappy told him how to fish this way. So what you end up doing is fishing that same lure 95% of the time. And when you do venture out and get all crazy and try a different lure in the tackle box that you have 100 lures in, you throw it 4 or 5 times, it doesn't catch crap, and you end up going back to your tried and true. It doesn't matter if you have thousands of dollars and hundreds of other lures, you continue to go back to that same Texas rig that you fish all the time. And I'm guilty of this. I do the same exact thing with the wacky worm style. The problem is that wacky worm or soft plastics may not be the best presentation for that day. The water clarity may be off. There might be vegetation, the wind speed, barometric pressure, if it's morning, if it's sunup, if it's evening. All these things change the fishing game. So to increase your fishing advantage, you're gonna have to learn different lures, but the question becomes which one? The good news here is I actually discovered an app that's gonna help you with this. It's called Deep Dive. And here's how it works. You're gonna put in your favorite lake. If it's not there, you can request it and they'll start working on it. But it's also gonna pull in the weather from wherever you live. And from there's a variety of other variables that you have to input. All right, you're gonna put in the water clarity. It's 4, 2 to 4, or 0 to 2. And once that's in, put in the water temperature, put in if you fish wind-blown areas and whether or not there's vegetation present. Next, you're gonna punch in whether you fish deep water or shallow water and what you're targeting. Right now, it's just largemouth bass and spotted bass. And the last thing you wanna do is what time of the day that you are fishing, sunrise, morning, afternoon, or sunset. You can actually do this 4 days into the future. Then it's gonna give you a bunch of cards of what lure is best to fish for all the inputs that you just entered. And it gets better. So you click on one of the cards, it's gonna let you know the effectiveness, the ease of use, the color. Keep going down, it's gonna show you where you're gonna wanna fish in that particular lake. Right here, it shows you that you're gonna wanna fish the first half of all the creeks in that particular body of water. Keep going down to show you the structure that you're gonna look out for. Gonna scroll over, those are where the fish are gonna be. Any roads or bridges, if you have those on your lakes. It's gonna show you what kind of cover, any bluff walls, rock transitions. It's gonna show you some photos. Also, if you have a hummingbird, or you're gonna be able to check that out as well. It's also gonna show you what position you're gonna wanna be in and for that particular lure. And really cool, if you don't know how to retrieve that particular lure, it's gonna show you how to do that in this short little video. And at the end of the card, it's gonna show you the gear you need. The type of rod, the length, the action, the type of line, and the test that is good for that particular lure type. You have this for every single one of the lures and one of the cards that it gives you. Man, this thing's awesome. So I reached out to Deep Dive and asked them, hey, where does all these strategies come from? And this was their response. They said the strategies suggested are coming from a database over 10 years of professional tournament results. We collected baits, lake types, seasons, weather conditions, water conditions, structure, and cover for the top placing entrance. Aggregated pro results. I like that. If you're interested in that app, I have a link in the description below. Here's the thing, I don't get any type of kickback if you purchase it. I just like it, and I think it's smart to learn the lures that you have in your tackle box, and it'll make you a better fisherman. What I was showing you was the pro version, and there's also a free version. Free version only gives you 1 card. The pro version is gonna give you multiple cards. Pretty straightforward. All right, let's move on to number 5. Learn these 2 hook to line knots. They're the most popular and super strong. Your clinch knot and your Palomar knot. I actually grew up on the clinch knot, but the reality is that the Palomar knot is just as strong, and I think it takes a whole lot less time to tie. I love it. So I use it the majority of the time. If you don't know how to tie the Palomar, I actually create a video, it's up in the cards. Bottom line, the Palomar is simple, strong, and effective. In a little bit of practice, you actually can tie this thing in the middle of the night. See, I told you. Actually regarded as one of the strongest and most reliable fishing knots out there. Learn the Palomar. And with most knots, make sure you moisten it before you pull it tight. If you don't, you're creating heat and friction, which is a fishing line's worst nightmare, and it will become your weak point. Number 4, don't forget your toenail clippers and Velcro. What? Yep, I didn't lose my mind. If you've been fishing for a while, this might be something that you already have on deck. If you don't, I highly recommend you have some of these on board. They're really great for cutting line, but really great for whenever you have those knots still left on the hook and you really can't get to them really easily. Just take your fingernail clippers and snip it right off. It becomes really helpful when you have those braided knots. But wait, there's more. Don't forget to leash these to your kayak, but also put some Velcro on it and put it in an inconspicuous place. If you don't, you'll end up stepping on them, and I've ruined tons of these over the years. Kayak leash it, Velcro it to your side of the boat so you always know where it's at. All right, we're halfway there with number 3. If you're tracking with me, hit that like button. Here we go. I wish I would have learned this earlier, but bring multiple preset rods. I actually did a poll to the community of those who have subscribed and asked the question, I carry how many rods on my fishing kayak? And this was your response. I had 58 votes, and 29% of you said you carry 1 to 2, 43% of you said you carry 3 to 4, 17% of you said 5 to 6 rods, and then 10% of you are like God mode, 6+ rods on your fishing kayak. So what I'll do the night before is preset all of my rods. I carry 6 with me. A lot of them are my tried and true that I know work for the particular time of the year in the lake that I'm fishing. But if I want to try out a few new lures, I head over to the Deep Dive app and try to get some ideas of how to set those up. For instance, if I'm fishing in the middle of summer, I'm going to have a wacky worm, I'm going to have a drop shot. I typically have 2 of my rods set up for trolling, and then I usually have some type of frog or maybe something that I pulled from the app. I see fishing in terms of advantage, and you can't catch a fish if you don't have a lure in the water. This is why I like to preset 6 rods. So I'm not out in the middle of the lake, the bass are smashing, and there I am trying to change out my lure. Everything is already set up. You know, I'd be thinking like, Darren, that's only like 10 minutes. Well, that 10 minutes could be the difference between a really good day and a really bad day out in the water. Can't catch fish if you're not fishing. So increase your fishing advantage by doing a little pre-work. All right, this might be something you don't think about while you're fishing, but could be handy in a pinch. Make sure you carry with you a small first aid kit. I throw this in my behind the seat backpack, but I also keep a more robust one in the car. Might be a good idea for you to learn how to remove a fishing hook, especially if you can't see the barb. This is actually in my queue for future videos, so hit the sub and bell and you'll get notified when it comes out. All right, and here's the final, number 1. This is a tip that I learned after a good rain out on the water. Essentially, I got soaked, but if you're in the middle of summer, a lot of times after the rain, the sun comes out. And if you get soaked and it's 90 degrees, not a big deal. But if you get soaked and it's 60 to 70 degrees, well, that could be the end of your fishing day. I would highly recommend leaving a bag of clothes in your car, because then you can just go back to the dock, change your clothes out, and be back out in the water slamming those water ponies. Even if you just a little slip and get your leg or socks wet, by simply having a bag in your car, you don't have to fish the rest of the day with a wet leg or a wet sock. Simply just throw the clothes in a bag, chuck them in the back of the car, and you'll probably forget about them until you need them. And as promised, here is the video, 11 things I wish I knew before I started kayak fishing, right there.